Okay, folks, here we are, game week 223. Before we dive in, let's have a quick peek at last midweek. Nothing really out of the ordinary here. I mean, it is surprising to see such high scores needed in what was a bit of a light game week in the rare divisions. Limited less so, though. So that was kind of uplifting to see that, you could get away with a card win with some of these low twos or mid twos. I'd like to see that going forward again to get more people into the game, feeling like they've won something and they're building their roster. The interesting one for this game week, biggest one, is probably for the first time ever, I think, that I've seen, more cards are being paid out in Champion Europe than in Global All-Star. So I wonder if this is a deliberate tactic by Sorare to kind of test whether people are motivated more by the card winning capability or the Ethereum. So be interesting to see what you do. People are going to start to enter this, and this will bring the number down quite a bit because they'll see this. But if you have a decent lineup, certainly go for it. It's easily the best payout of the week. But and special weekly is kind of an afterthought. It's really been an afterthought for a few months now. I thought they were really going to use that as a kind of a key promotional tool and to kind of stimulate purchasing and trading and things like that throughout the week. But not a lot here. It's League One. The big matches this week are League One and Serie A have a fairly full schedule this midweek. Sorry, a bit of a dry throat here. Down in the limited side, not kind of similar, I guess. Maybe not as many cards being paid out compared to the Global All-Star, but again, the Champion Europe seems to be one to be able to exploit. Now, if we look at players that I picked last week, so remember I tried to look at teams that had really positive matchups for in two cases for 5 straight weeks or game weeks, and then in the case of Corinthians, 3 straight game weeks, and turned out okay. I guess one of the things we learned here with Napoli, I thought that maybe Pategna would be the replacement for Osimhen, and that Politano was maybe kind of a shot in the dark, somebody to grab cheap and hold on to. So no surprise that he didn't play. But Pategna actually came off the bench because Dries Mertens. And I remember I looked at him and thought, should I recommend him? But his price had already started to creep up, so it didn't kind of fit my sort of bargain hunting memo. And it's really shooting up. He scored 2 goals over the weekend, so I think he's a bit of a fixture there now in that spot, and that maybe Pategna will continue to be that sort of come off the bench kind of guy. We'll see. I mean, Mertens is he's like 34 years old or 35 or something, so they'll have to rest him a bit as well. So still, I think an okay buy there. De Silva was always a bit of a for Lyon, a little bit of a longer term play. They brought him in over the summer, and I felt like start to see some more playing time for him. And so it's nice to see. I think he came off the bench as well. And so again, more longer term and at a really nice price at the moment. And then these 4 for Corinthians, again, you're just taking advantage of a dip in price right now as their season winds down, where you're not maybe getting them quite at rock bottom prices that you will in a few weeks. But the upside is you get to use them for just a couple of weeks in some really nice matchups. And I think we saw some pretty decent scores here. So I'd be pleased with that. Looking ahead, what I want to look at, really just one club I was going to look at was this week is Juventus. So underperformed domestically. They're doing fine Champions League wise. They've they're moving forward. The next match will kind of be a throwaway for them, but 2 big injuries for them. Chiesa and McKennie both went down. Now I've heard conflicting reports. I heard reports that said both of them will be out till the new year. And then I've recently also seen that that McKennie might only just be a couple weeks, and Chiesa might be a little bit after that, sort of after Christmas or something like that. So it's hard to say. We'll see. But obviously big players. They have some big matches coming up. They really got to start to move back up the table, get into that those top couple spots. So who am I recommending from there? So the first one, Juan Cuadrado. So he's tended to fill in for Chiesa in his spot there at that kind of right wing spot. But he also plays quite a bit. As you can see, he's played most games. So he's actually more of like a right back. But they brought him up a little further up as a winger at times that they've rested Chiesa. So As you can see, some nice scores here. I think you'd be pleased with this. Here, I mean, wow, this was fantastic last season. So I think investing in him right now would be a really nice move. He's going to be, in theory, take Chiesa's spot and then kind of basically move further up the pitch, which might increase chances of assists and things like that, shots on target and whatnot. So he's definitely one I'm targeting. Obviously, a bit of an older guy, so not necessarily investing in youth, but pretty steady and I'd say reasonable pricing here. If we look at his price graph, actually, really come down now, started to come up. I guess people are maybe jumping on it, but still, you can get him at a pretty decent rate for where he's been in the past. And I think limited. Yeah, I mean, obviously the first cards were quite high, and now it's really come down cheap. So now's the time here. I think just investing in Juventus, anyways, is just a nice move. They seem to have underperformed a bit. Rodrigo Betancourt, also one for me here. He's played a little bit kind of sparingly, and the problem is, so the thinking is that it's either going to be him or Arthur, who's my next one, is going to replace McKennie. And they both, McKennie's hardly ever sat, but when he has, there was one against Verona, and it was Betancourt that took his spot. And then there was another one where McKennie didn't sit, but he actually got subbed off for like one of the few times, and it was Arthur who kind of subbed on for him. So I'd give the nod to Betancourt. I think that he's definitely a little more steady. Not great scores around here, but now that in theory, if he gets the increased playing time, he should be able to give you some nice numbers like you see here from last season. And just pricing's really nice for a big club like this. You're still going through Champions League. You can see again, the rare price has been dropping. The limited price has been dropping. And yeah, so I think this is just a great time to invest. And then Arthur as well, basically the same price as Betancourt. So if you can only pick one, I'd go with Betancourt, but hasn't played as much, definitely more of a bit player, and lower scores because of it. So, but we could see it could be something of interest here. We'll see. But and then from a transfer market point of view, these are big time talents. So if you don't know too much about them, Arthur, Brazilian, 38.5 mil, and Betancourt 33. So you're not investing in some sort of lower tier type players. These are guys that in theory would be playing well for other clubs. Maybe it's a bit of an audition to move on, or maybe they actually start to secure more playing time going forward. So I like both of those. Those are my picks for this week. Probably in that order, I would say. Quadrado a little steadier, Betancourt a little bit of upside given his youth, and then Arthur maybe more of a long shot. So there you go. Hope that all helps. Best of luck. We will talk again soon. Bye.